This front desk sells success, so which I want to continue the conversations that we have just been building and building on. I'm going from understanding this front desk role, right, and the dual, if not triple purpose of what we call the front desk. And until we understand that and we get people in their lanes to do what they're really good at, then this front desk sales success part of it and system cannot be successful. I won't beat this dead horse, but if we got everybody focused on all these tasks and all this doing all day long with no real accountabilities, then no one is ever going to own this sales system. And until someone owns the sales system, we can't hold everybody, or we can't hold them accountable for it, right? So this is where we started building last week, is understanding, A, there is a sales role in them, right? What are these things, like last week going through the 5 steps of that sales process, right, when they get on the phone. So what I wanted to do this week, and again, last week was that 5-step sales process. And that was about what they do when they pick up the phone. This week, I want to talk about what do you hear when you pick up the phone. And I think this is really important for everybody out there, and I run into this all the time, is we create systems. This is really, really, really important right now. We create systems to deal with the 80%, the 90% rule, right? We don't create systems for the 10%, for the 20%. So when I tell you there are only 4 phone calls, what I'm telling you is there are only 4 phone calls that you must focus on 99.9% of the time, because this is where they fall. And again, what happens in a room full of people, I get 100 people in a room and go, there are only 4 phone calls. And I could go this, and and without giving the context of the 80-20 rule, someone will raise their hand and go, that's not true. I had a call last week where someone asked this, and I go, how often does that happen? Oh, it happens once every 6 months. And then the question is, do you want to create systems for the 99.9% of the 6 months, or do you want to create a system for that one time? And it's always that one time, well, this one time, well, this one time. So get out of that mindset, because if you're used to managing the majority, these 4 phone calls that come in the rest of the time, then this one off here and there will actually be easier. So you will create the proper system for the 4, and then it'll be easy, again, I promise you, to manage that one time, right? That one time, right? That one time someone called to ask for if we had a pool and we don't. And I'm like, okay. Right? And it's usually stuff like that. So just understand, when I say there are only 4 calls, I'm talking about the majority of your day. And even some of the other calls people might say, I'd relate it back to these 4 calls. What's important is we understand that this person in the front desk sales portion of the front desk roles is the person that really needs to be focused on this. There will be, yet again, other people that periodically pick up the phone and have to manage new patients, potential new patients. Is it important for them to understand this? Yes. Is it important for them to become proficient in managing this? Maybe not. It's important they know that it happens. It's important that they understand how to manage it to the best of how their capacity, right? Whether that means getting the phone over to the front desk sales associate or getting to a certain point with this person. So again, everybody in the business needs to understand, at least everybody at the front desk role needs to understand these 4 phone calls, right? And how they come in, so that if and when they pick the phone up, they can manage this. Now, what is the accountability of this front desk person is important too, right? Because we want people that are put on the schedule who will arrive. And so the 5-step sales process we went through last week is to follow 5 steps to get people who will arrive. Yet again, what I haven't gone into and what I didn't talk about last week was, what are these people asking for? How can I be prepared? What script do I need? And the beauty is, if you understand the 4 calls that are coming in, you don't need a script. You need to understand the template and the structure for managing the conversation, so that regardless, this is what I like, regardless of how the person leads off, how they want to start the conversation, you know the context of how you want to manage it. Because what happens as I've been in these clinics with the big notebook, it's a big binder on the front desk. And when someone calls and says something, they go to that page, and I'm like, wow. So immediately their brain is taken away from that person on the other end to, hold on, what What conversation do I have to have? And I'm like, wow. So someone's acknowledging you, saying, look, I want to learn something about you and your business because I want to do business with you. And you're actually disconnecting from them to look at the script you need to follow. And that's why I like my approach to the front desk success training program, right? There is no script. There's a template, there's a structure, there's a 10-point checklist, there's a 5-step process, all that meld into each other to create this sales system so that you can manage these 4 different phone calls easily, consistently, every time, and confidently. The consistency is huge. I've gone into this many times. If your accountability is patients arrived and we don't know the structure of the first phone call and I'm just telling you to get people scheduled, if one month you hit your goal and the next month you don't, why not? There is no objective measure there. Yet, if one month you hit your goal and one month you don't, and I know you're picking up the phone and following the same structure every single time, regardless of the phone call, then that's the given. Then we start to dig deeper and look to solve the problem. Yet this is a huge problem with the front desk and managing the sales system is people don't have a structure. It's just get people scheduled. And so that's why their answer back to the owners, the practice managers and everything, that's why their answer to everything is get more new patients. If you don't know the system, if you don't have a structure for how the system needs to be run, your solution will always need more new patients. If you understand the system and the structure that's being followed, then it's easy to dig a little deeper and go, we don't need more new patients. I need to educate my doctors a little better on what conversation to have with these people, because I know and I trust my front desk is following the proper system and process every time. And by the way, I record the phone calls and it's part of their accountabilities. And when I meet with them regularly, we go over some of those recorded phone calls. And my first thing I check is, did they follow the 10-point checklist, right? Did we go through this? Was this phone call managed? The result is the result. The outcome is the outcome. Did you follow the 10-step process? Yes, cool. Let's break down. Let's see what's going on. This person they weren't the right fit for us, right? We went through the process, they weren't the right fit. So all these things need to be taken in place, right? We need to break up those roles. We need to understand who we have in each role. We need to make sure everybody's set up for success. We need to know the measurement of success. And then we need to know the process that needs to be followed. And part of that's that five-step process. Part of that's the 10-point checklist. And it's not that there's all these different moving parts and it'd be easier if I had just one script. No. They all weave into each other. And really the ultimate on all this is listening. Because this is where I find when people get lost. I was working with someone recently, and regardless of how I went through these 4 structures with them and how to manage it, and they were so worried about their process that they had written out their notes on how they wanted to manage a phone call is they didn't hear what was coming out of my mouth. So even though I said something differently, they started each phone call the same. And I said, well, that's not going to work. You're so worried about looking at how you need to take what you need to take me through that you're not listening to what I'm saying. And the structure I give you near the end of this is going to be the first thing you have to do is listen. Because the person on the other end of the phone tells you what they want to talk about, tells you what they want and need from you. And yet every great sales system will tell you, you need to get from that person what they want and need. And I'm like, the only way to do that is to ask the right questions and to listen. And that starts from the very, very, very beginning of that phone call. So let's get into these 4 phone calls, right? We're 11 minutes in. We're definitely going to end at the 20 today because I want to leave time to show you how we're going to manage, how actually we manage all 4 of these phone calls the same exact way. And that's really the kicker here, right? So I like to say the 4 phone call conversations you can have. And then it's not the 4 scripts to manage them. Right? And I didn't put this in the write-up on purpose because here's the big secret for you that have sat through this, for you that have watched this far, is that you manage them all the same way. Right? And it's not with the same script, it's with the same structure. So the 4 phone calls you get. And when you hear this, right, there's a variation. The four basic phone calls are the same. And someone may wrap up 2 of them, and we say, well, there's 5 or 6. And I'm like, no, really, they all come down to 4. They may add a little something in, but they all come down to these four, right? You pick up the phone, ABC Physiotherapy. This is Jerry. How may I help you? Number one is, I'm curious, are you in network with my insurance? That's phone call number one. Phone call number two, ABC Physiotherapy. This is Jerry. How may I help you? Yes. Hi, I'm wondering, I'm curious, do you take my insurance? Phone call number two. By the way, those are two separate phone calls. Those are two different mindsets of the person on the other end of the phone. Do you take my insurance? Are you in network? And remember, for context, before you tell me it's the same thing and they're asking the same thing and you start projecting your beliefs, remember, I answered these calls for over a year. I listen to recordings every week. I work with people every week. I started to ask people when they said, do you take my insurance? What do you need to know? What do you need from me? And the answer was not the same as what they needed and wanted from me when they said, are you in network with my insurance? But I asked those people what they wanted to know too. They were not the same thing. So those are two separate phone calls. Phone call number three is, hi, my name is Jerry. All right, sorry, ABC Physiotherapy, this is Jerry, how may I help you? Phone call number three is, hi, my name is so-and-so. I have low back pain and I would like to get scheduled, right? Insert any diagnosis here. And then number four is the ultimate combo, right? ABC Physiotherapy, this is Jerry, how may I help you? Hello, insert name here. I have low back pain, I want to get scheduled, and I'm wondering if you take my insurance. Those are the only four phone calls, right? Now again, the last one could be in with, are you in network? And then every other phone call we talk about is a variation of those. Right? Someone may say, hi, my name's Jerry, I want to get scheduled. My doctor sent me over, right? So again, all these things are just variations, yet they all are managed the same exact way. And they are all built off those four foundational calls. Now, everybody I talk to beforehand and everybody who goes through training wants to know how to manage all those four phone calls, wants to know what to do. And I see people everywhere these days posting on, sales and how to manage all this stuff. Right? And what I notice, even people, the marketing people telling people how to do sales are not approaching it in this manner. Getting someone to call your office to solve a problem for them, not all calls are equal. So if you want to go through most of your day answering, do you take my insurance or are you in network, then do general marketing that is not targeted at the person you can serve. If you want to get phone calls all day long that say, look, I'd like to get scheduled, I have low back pain, right? If you would like to get calls all day that says, hi, I'd like to get scheduled, I have low back pain, your old patient told me to call you, then that's the work to be done, right? That is the work to be done on the marketing side. That's where the salesperson comes in with the data they're collecting, because the people calling, potentially, remember this is the 80-20 rule, the people calling saying, do you take my insurance, are you in network, don't really understand what you can deliver. Don't understand what problems you can solve for them, and that's back on you. Because your website, your Facebook ads, and all those things are not descriptive enough. I'm doing a lot of work with a couple of clients right now on that. I'm listening to their phone calls from their Facebook ads, and they're horrible. These people have no idea how the person on the other end of the phone can help them. And you may say, well, that's what the first phone call's about. And I'm like, sure. But also, I don't want to play Russian roulette all day and flipping a coin wondering if people are going to engage with me. Sorry. I don't want to play Russian roulette flipping a coin wondering if people are going to choose me by scheduling with me and being prepared to pay and stay, complete a plan of care, right? So that's how that sales and that marketing work together. So remember, I digress a wee bit, but those four phone calls, that's how they start. And the way you can get more of a certain phone call is to connect your marketing and your sales team together. And that data and information that your sales team is collecting on the first phone call should go back to the marketing team to improve your ads, your community events, your flyers, anything, right? Even if you have a banner hanging up at the local Little League baseball diamond, it should be very specific to your target customer. And when people see it, they should go, that's me. I need to call them. Not, oh, I wonder if they can help me. I want them to see themselves in your ad. And when they call you, they say, hey, I need to get scheduled. I saw your ad. I talked to someone you've helped. I believe you could help me. That is completely different than do you take my insurance? So the 4 phone calls again. Are you in network with my insurance? Do you take my insurance? I have low back pain. I'd like to get scheduled. I have low back pain. I'd like to get scheduled. And do you take my insurance, right? Those are the 4 phone calls. And then I just took you back on how to get more of the certain phone calls and less of the other phone calls, because those first 2 are going to be more difficult to get on the schedule and to turn into customers who arrive, pay, stay, and do your marketing with you. Remember, that's the ultimate goal of this phone call. The 5-step sales process last week, understanding the 4 phone calls, making sure you understand who's in that front desk sales role. All that. All the goal is to get people who will arrive, pay, stay, and do your marketing with you. Okay? So let me take you through how you manage all 4 of those phone calls. Is you follow the AAA. Okay? The AAA is you acknowledge, you ask permission-based questions, and then you allow people to tell their story. So in all those examples I just gave you, many people are teaching and they have scripts on how to talk around the insurance, how to talk around cost. I say, look, there is no talking around, there is no diversion, there is no talking over, there is no confusing people, because that's what it does. The first thing you must do is acknowledge what you hear. So let me give you the example of the, hi, my name's Jerry, I have low back pain, I want to get scheduled, and do you take my insurance? I would start with, hello, Jerry. In case you missed it, my name is Bill. I'm glad you called us today at ABC Physiotherapy, because I can definitely help get you on the schedule, and I know we can help you with your low back pain. Now, regarding your insurance, now I'm going into the second part. I'm going to ask a permission-based question. Regarding your insurance, yes, we do take that. And what I would like to do next, Jerry, is learn more about you and why you called us today. I want to make sure that we here at ABC Physiotherapy are the right fit for you. We don't want to waste your time, money, or energy. So I want to learn more about you, and then we can deal with the insurance at the end of the phone call. Will that work for you? So now I've acknowledged, I've asked a permission-based question. Jerry says, yes, that will work for me. I say, okay, Jerry, and then I prompt him on sharing his story with me. So now I will figure out what he wants and needs from us. I can figure out his wants, his needs, his expectations, all of it from his story, and we're only 40 seconds in, 35 seconds in. Every single phone call starts like that. And now you're already thinking, well, what happens if we don't take his insurance and this and that? And there's structure for that. That all flows from the acknowledge, the ask the permission-based question, and allow them to tell their story. The 4 ways your phone call will start. Do you take my insurance? Right? Are you in network? Hi, my name is, I have low back pain and I want to get scheduled. Hi, my name is, I have low back pain, I want to get scheduled, and do you take my insurance? Right? The structure and the template for how we manage all those calls is exactly the same. We acknowledge, we ask permission-based questions, and we allow people to tell their story. So regardless of those 4 phone calls and what we hear at the beginning, right? And we're following that 5-step process. So this is built into the greeting. The greeting is actually an acknowledgement and asking permission-based questions. Then in the 5-step process, we had to get to their wants. How do we do that? We get their story from them. So again, we're weaving all this 5-step process, 10-point checklist, right? Is all woven into the AAA. It is the way to have a conversation, to manage a conversation with every single person that calls your clinic to do business with you. And if I acknowledge is the #1 attribute in the research I've read. There's probably other research out there, but acknowledgement is always in the empathy research, right? So when you look at empathy, when you look at building an alliance, acknowledgement is in there. And I'm telling you, you're acknowledging someone and saying, A, I hear you, we're being empathetic, and B, you're also saying, I hear you, and we're going to make this phone call about you, the you versus me test. I've talked a lot about that here. So we have the 4 ways the phone call will start, right? And then we have the template and the structure, the AAA, of how we have to manage all these phone calls. So I appreciate it all. I appreciate everybody listening in on this. And I will see you all next week when we will continue this conversation of managing this first phone call. Cheers.